Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. A minute ago, I posted a video regarding what's going on in Ukraine, past, present, and future, and I made a little history of how they got where they are in Ukraine regarding the war in Ukraine between the United States of America and Russia, or the interests behind United States of America and the Russian Federation. That's, I think, a better characterization. In this video, I will try to make a summary of what's going on in the Middle East. Now, obviously, we got to a point where Israel right now has full hand and does whatever it wants in Gaza because United States of America threatens everybody else in the area that if they act, they will be flattened. But it's going to be a problem with Iran. If I think Lebanon will not be a big problem, maybe Syria will be because the Russians are there. Definitely Iran is a big fish and I don't think they can swallow that. So let's start with October 7th, 2023. Hamas crossed the little border between Gaza and Israel, entered over there, did some hanky-panky. Now, according to some Palestinians, good things, according to others, bad things. Obviously, they killed civilians, that's always a bad thing. They kidnapped civilians and some military personnel, and then they retreated back into Gaza. Their demands? I guess justice. Now, obviously, that is between Hamas, an organization that is located in an area populated with civilians, which is called Gaza, and the state of Israel. It's not between Hamas and the United States of America, it's not between Hamas and France, Germany, or Great Britain. Nevertheless, or Netherlands. Nevertheless, all the countries I mentioned, they decided that somehow they are very, very vested in defending the state of Israel, which, as an army, I think is listed as a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th in the world. But somehow it needs help against Hamas, an organization, for God's sake, if there's any, okay? An organization. Now, we know who's who, what's what, and who controls whom. So these guys showed up at the Mediterranean Sea. Troops might be on the ground, American troops, helping the Israelis fight Hamas. In the meantime, Hamas is doing what it does best, try to fight Israel, and the Israelis are flattening neighborhoods in Gaza, killing civilians and children in hospitals and mosques and churches. The United States is just doing lip service, like a lip service. I think is this. This is lip service, not this. Is this? So I think that's what the United States does. Hey, that's not quite right. Hey, stop it. Oh, come on. And those guys continue doing that. Now, under the right of self-defense, you're not allowed to commit crimes. Correct? Correct. Nevertheless, killing civilians, it seems like, for some is acceptable, for everybody else is not. The prize in the Middle East is Iran, not Hamas. Hamas is one step. The goal is Iran. They've been trying to destroy Iran for some time. Not for the United States, which, if you look over this little globe, is very far from the Middle East. It's from someone in the Middle East, from Israel. They've been trying to drag these guys to attack Iran for some time already. They already are 2 days away from building a bomb. Lie. Again, they're about 2 weeks to build a bomb. Lie. Now again, they try to get the bully boy, attack Iran. This is what we are right now. Now, obviously, only a few countries in the West will intervene for Israel. Not Zimbabwe, not South Africa, not Argentina, not Vietnam. Only a few countries in the West. Why is that? There's no guilt whatsoever. And even in the name of guilt, you can't do that because guilt is not something that gives you a clean slate, or how should I put it, a clean, blank check to act however you want. Now, under the self-defense, as I said, you can't commit crimes. Nevertheless, the United States vetoed some resolution of a ceasefire because it thought that maybe the Israelis should just continue attacking Hamas. Okay, now, obviously, there were 14 countries, and out of those 14 countries, the important countries was Austria, Croatia, Hungary, a surprise, and the rest were, I don't know, it was Paraguay, and there were some other ones that were Fiji, Palau, Kapalau, Zapalau, Bubulau. Alright, it was not Great Britain, it was not France. They didn't oppose that. They probably abstained. But nevertheless, so this is where we are right now. As I said, the prize is Iran. Now, as the United Nations Secretary General, the Hamas attack, as horrible as it was, it did not occur in a vacuum. Vacuum, what does that mean? That means that it not just happened. Oh, you can't say that. If you say that, they label you of something. Well, that's not true. Criticizing someone, it doesn't mean that you're anti-someone. You just make a statement, you support it with evidence, and then screw you. Well, you're not even allowed to do that, even though we used to have our civilization versus their culture. Nevertheless, what's going on right now? We know very well Israel will do whatever it wants in Gaza. It's not going to destroy Hamas. It's going to destroy a lot of civilians in the process. They turned off the water, food, electricity, and access. Nobody can come in and out of Gaza. That tells me that Gaza actually was a prison. And the warden or the security guy was, or the guard was Israel. Now, who would like to live like that? I wouldn't. So anyway, there's 2.3 million people in Gaza, which is very small. You can see pictures and see what the Israelis did to full buildings and neighborhoods. Now, if you think that's right, reverse the roles and see how you'd like it. And pretty much you would not like it. Remember, revenge doesn't give you the right to commit crimes. You got that? So revenge is not a policy, all right? It's a feeling. You can't say, oh, I'm gonna give you some revenge right now, a few atomic bombs. You can't do that. There's still, if we are pretending to be just, there's some still laws under the international blah 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 tra la la, which obviously they are just violated by some, but some others are held up to that, the letter of the law, like Iran. But nevertheless, Israel might have nuclear weapons, Iran might not have ever. Why? Because the country that dropped 2 atomic bombs on 2 civilian cities in the world, the only one on this planet, decided that, hey, I'm the arbiter here. Since when? You should have the least authority in deciding who has and who doesn't. But hey, since this world is not based on the rule of law, it's based on who has this and punches harder, off, basically. So what's going to be happening in Israel? In Israel will happen this. In Israel, Israel will destroy Gaza as much as it can in the name of revenge and destroying Hamas. And in the meantime, Hamas will use all the civilian shields, to shield their own garbage. Which, again, even that it's not acceptable. But nevertheless, it's like, for instance, you have someone holding a hostage and you just kill them both. You say, well, I killed the bad guy, but I killed the civilian as well. Is that how police does it in our civilization? I don't think so. So if you have a guy that robbed a bank and he holds a hostage at a gunpoint, you're not going to kill them both and say, well, I killed the guy. Well, collateral damage. Well, Israel says exactly that. Well, you know what? They have human shields over there. And what should we do? Well, you should not kill them both. You should try to kill Hamas or try to negotiate. I know it sounds ugly, but since the two-state solution was not implemented since 1948, and remember, in the past at least 50 years, the United States was the guy in charge of peace in the Middle East. They failed. They should be out. They discredited their abilities. So when you hear that the Americans are the ones that are brokering this and are in charge and dispensing justice in the Middle East, no, you failed. You're out. But how can you get him out? He got the biggest biceps and triceps, so he can punch you the hardest. So what are they going to do? Nothing. So if they're going to attack Iran, Russia will intervene. Probably China will also help. And we're going to have the Third World War. And then these idiots, the fanatics, will say, yes, the second coming, the end of the world, the prophecy. Fuck off. All right? So we got crazies like that. They're counting. These are signs. Go now in those churches and see how they talk about. The signs are here. The hurricanes are here. The famine. Israel is going to be surrounded. Second coming, guys. And start talking in fucking tongues. Anyway, here it is, my friends. These guys are crazy. These guys are fanatics. What's going to happen? Well, I hope the Russians and the Chinese will be able to stop these idiots. All right? I'm talking about the guys here that are under the thumb of you know who. So here is my friend, my friends. I hope that Iran will not have a itchy finger, and then all hell will break loose. Got that? Remember, what happened in Israel, as awful and horrible as it was, it didn't happen like that was year zero. They were friends, and all of a sudden, these guys did it because they couldn't, they didn't like the temperature of their swimming pools in Gaza. They were not, 70 degrees. They were, 68 all of a sudden. They say, oy vey, we gotta do this. No, it didn't happen that way. All right, my friends? So remember, when you are about to dispense justice, you don't take justice from only where you want it, and you don't take it chronologically. You just pick and choose, and you just you ignore information and evidence and historical facts that you don't like. That's not justice. No, that's preferential justice. That's situational justice. There's no justice. Like social justice is no justice. It's social justice. All right? Justice just is. When you say social justice, racial justice, garbage justice, globe justice, there's no justice because you already put the subjective in it. So that means you're fighting towards something. Anyway, my friends, think about it. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.